I do have more and more amateur wrestlers that are approaching me, and they're like, well, how would you do this, or how would you that, or how would you get into the industry? I go, you have learned. Look at all these mechanics you already know how to do. I go, you already know how to tie up as an amateur wrestler, how to tie up. It's not much different. And so I'll just show them just a couple of simple things. I go, but I said, you can do so many new additional type of things of what you can do if your background is more Greco-Roman. I go, here's a couple classic types of moves that you can show out there. Or, you know, very rarely do you see amateur wrestlers. There always used to be they'll test the strength when they reach up there,
Yeah, the
reach up
Greco knuckle. Yeah,
yes,
Greco-Roman
the
knuckle
test
lock.
the strength. But I always tell people that very rarely do you see any ground wrestling. I go, the unique thing is to simply do some ground wrestling. Here, a great story. Again, I digress one more time. A great story here. I have Mick Foley. Excuse me. At the time, Cactus Jack. All I do is I'm on this card. I'm in Japan. The Kawasaki Deathmatch Tournaments series. I'm there for like 10 days, and literally all these other guys are working like I think 7 or 8 out of the 10 days. They've got one day off, and then we got the big Kawasaki Deathmatch Tournament series, and I'm there the whole time, and I've only got one match. That's it, and I'm going to the gym each day. I'm going out and seeing some sights, things of that nature, and and on the only day off, Cactus Jack is sitting in the practice room where I'm doing my workout, stuff like that. He's just watching me, and we've never really interacted with each other. And I think one of the very first things he ever said to me is like, he goes, Dad, he says, can you show me some wrestling moves? I'm thinking to myself, I go, you're Cactus Jack. You've been wrestling professionally way longer. What world can I even show you? And he says, he goes, I can't wrestle. He says, but I can endure pain. And I'm like to myself, I started watching his matches after that, and by God, the man was right. He can't wrestle to save his soul, but I mean, he can tolerate incredible amounts of pain. But even that Kawasaki Deathmatch tournament, he's in his tournament, so he's going to go out there several times. His very first match, he goes out there, was a thumbtack match. I had never seen a thumbtack match, so I'm watching it through the curtain, stuff like that, and I watch this promoter or the referee dump out what looks like thumbtacks, but I think it can't be thumbtacks because it's professional wrestling. And their match continues, and there's clotheslines and body slams and the whole 9 yards, and match is done, and Cactus Jack is on his way back in, and I kind of slide back into the locker room. I sit down in my chair, and when he comes in, Cactus Jack always wore shirts and tights of that nature. Well, a couple of the Green Boys, the young Japanese wrestlers, they came out, they pulled the bottom of his shirts out to where all of a sudden you hear tick, 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 because of all of these metal objects falling out the floor, and a couple rolled towards my stool where I was sitting there. I bent over, picked up, and I'm going, my God, these are real. And so the very first words I ever spoke to Cactus Jack at that time was go, hey, Cactus, I go, how often do you get a tetanus shot? And he looked at me and goes, every year, Dad, every year. And I go, it boggled my mind. I just, to see that kind of stuff, but at the same token, I always thought to myself, I hope I never need money bad enough that I'm going to do a thumbtack match or a barbed wire match or explosives, or I mean, don't get me wrong, there are some people like Terry Funk and Cactus Jack. That night they were involved in the final match of that whole series, and there was barbed wire and there was explosives, and both guys had to be taken to the hospital after the match was done. They both received, I think, some third-degree burns and things of that nature. And I'm like going to myself, wow, I hope I never need money that bad to where I think the risk of what they're doing far exceeds what I did as a cage fighter.